black teenager walked into her own hotel and got kicked out. 9 minutes later, she owned the room and their futures. It started with a look, not the kind of look you can easily explain, more like one you feel, like a draft through a closed window. Monica Ellison stepped through the revolving glass doors of the Stratford Manor Hotel in Santa Rosa, California, on a gray Saturday morning, her sneakers squeaking lightly against the tile. She wore a black hoodie, soft from wear, with matching leggings and an old canvas backpack slung over her shoulder. No assistant, no entourage, no laptop bag, just her and a quiet plan to see how her newest hotel actually felt when no one knew the boss was watching. She'd flown in from Oakland an hour earlier. No press, no announcement. That was the whole point. At 19, Monica had already figured out the best way to really understand people was to watch when they didn't know you were watching. She took a slow walk past the entryway seating area, neutral tones, worn armchairs, a vase of fresh lilies on the coffee table, probably swapped out that morning. She made mental notes. The front desk was dead ahead, 3 staff members. None of them looked up. No good morning, no welcome. Monica waited a beat, then another, still nothing. Finally, she approached the counter and gave a small nod to the woman typing something furiously behind the monitor. "Excuse me," Monica said, keeping her tone friendly. "Just checking to see if—" The woman sighed and cut her off without lifting her eyes. "Breakfast is over at 10. You'll need your key card to re-enter the dining area." Monica blinked. "Actually, The woman, Shelby, according to her badge, looked up and gave a slow once-over. "Are you with one of the guests?" she asked, voice cool, already skeptical. "We don't allow soliciting or waiting around in the lobby." Monica stared at her, caught between amusement and disbelief. She had dealt with worse, investors, journalists, shady developers. But somehow, this hit different. This wasn't a challenge to her pitch deck. This was personal. "I'm not here to solicit anything," she said, a little sharper now. "I'm just—" "Look," Shelby interrupted, gesturing toward a small sign behind her. "We've had issues with non-guests hanging around, and the general managers asked us to keep a close eye." Another front desk staffer, a tall guy with stiff posture and a forced smile, chimed in. "If you're looking for work, we're not hiring right now, but you can leave a resume at the back door, near the service entrance." Monica's mouth fell slightly open. A pause hung in the air. "I'm not here for a job," she said. "I'm here—" Then, like a cherry on top of a rotting cake, the supervisor came out from the office. Dark blue blazer, coffee in hand, Bluetooth headset still tucked into his ear, like he was running a Fortune 500. He sized Monica up with the same look you give to someone trying to sneak into a rooftop pool. "Ma'am," he said, all formal now, "we're going to have to ask you to leave. This is private property. And if you're not a guest or a registered visitor—" "Are you serious right now?" Monica asked, folding her arms. "If you don't comply, I'll have to get security involved," he added, raising his eyebrows as if that would scare her. Monica didn't yell, didn't argue. She looked at her watch, 11:38 a.m. She let out a short, tired breath, then pulled out her phone and typed something quickly. One text, no emojis, no punctuation. Then she turned, walked out past the same lilies on the coffee table, and took a seat on a cold metal bench just outside the hotel entrance. But what happened next would flip everything upside down, and none of them were ready for it. Monica didn't sit still for long. She crossed one leg over the other, tapping her sneaker against the concrete. The sky was dull, cloud-heavy, and it matched her mood perfectly. She wasn't angry, not really. That would have been too easy. This wasn't new to her. People underestimated her all the time, because of her age, her skin, her clothes. She'd learned to keep her temper under control. But today wasn't just about her. She looked back through the glass at the front desk. Shelby was laughing now, leaning against the counter like she'd just told a funny joke. The guy next to her had gone back to scrolling his phone. No one seemed to wonder where the girl they'd just kicked out had gone. No one cared. Monica exhaled through her nose, picked up her phone again, and made the call. "Yeah," she said when the other end picked up. "It's me. I'm outside the Santa Rosa property. I need Marcus and Aisha here, now." There was a pause, then a voice said, "What happened?" Monica's tone was flat. "Just send them." 9 minutes later, exactly 9, 2 black SUVs pulled up to the curb. Monica stood, brushed the dust from her hoodie, and walked to the second car. The back door opened. Out stepped Aisha Langston, director of operations. Tall, clean-cut, wore black like it was a uniform. Her heels clicked sharply on the sidewalk. Aisha's eyes scanned Monica's face before she even spoke. "Say less," she muttered. "Who was it?" Monica nodded toward the lobby. All three. Behind her, Marcus Benton, one of her legal consultants, was already pulling a manila folder from his case. "I've got contracts, titles, employee logs, all time-stamped. We good to walk in?" Monica nodded again. "Let's go." They entered in formation. Monica in the center, silent, calm. Aisha to her left, eyes locked on Shelby, who stopped mid-sentence when she saw them. Marcus trailed close behind, holding the documents with both hands. Shelby's posture stiffened immediately. The guy next to her looked up, confused. "Can I help y'all?" Shelby asked, trying to summon that customer service tone again, but it was too late for that. "Yeah," Aisha said, walking right up to the counter. "You can start by apologizing." The room tensed. Shelby blinked. Sorry, I'm not sure what this is about, but..." Marcus stepped forward and placed the folder on the counter with a soft thud. "This is Monica Ellison," he said. "CEO, owner, signatory on your last 3 payroll deposits. You asked her to leave the building." There was a pause, a thick, heavy silence that seemed to weigh down the air. Shelby's face shifted, first disbelief, then confusion, then something else. Panic, maybe. I didn't know. She didn't say." "She tried," Aisha snapped. "You cut her off. Twice." "I thought..." "Look, I swear, we've had people come in before." "And none of that would have mattered," Marcus added, "because you didn't ask. You assumed." The manager appeared again, rushing from the back office with that fake professional urgency people wear when they know they messed up. "Wait, I didn't realize. This is some kind of misunderstanding." "It's not," Monica said, her voice cutting through everything. It was the first time she'd spoken since stepping back inside. "What's your name?" He cleared his throat. "Brent Donnelly, general manager." Monica gave a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You're done, Brent." He blinked. I don't follow." "You're terminated. Effective immediately." Shelby gasped. Monica turned to her. "And you too. Along with anyone else on duty right now who stood there and watched this happen." Shelby's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Nothing came out. Monica looked at Aisha. "Go ahead and lock their system access." Aisha was already on her tablet. "Already on it." Brent tried again. "Ms. Ellison, please, this isn't necessary. If I had known..." "But you didn't ask," she interrupted. "None of you did. You just looked at me and decided I didn't belong." But this wasn't just about a lobby or a few rude words. Monica had a story, a long one, and this was only the surface. Monica didn't usually pull rank. That wasn't her style. She built Ellison Retreats to be different from the corporate hotel chains, smaller teams, more humanity, and that meant walking into places like this one, not to wave around her title, but to make sure people felt seen, safe, valued. But this time, things were different. And it started the second Shelby opened her mouth and looked through her like she was invisible. So what happened during those 9 minutes outside? Not much on the surface. Monica sat on that cold bench, quiet, calculating. But in her mind, she was already 6 moves ahead. She wasn't just thinking about the embarrassment or the disrespect. She was thinking about the guests. How many people had been treated this way when no one important was watching? How many had walked in looking too young, too black, too unfamiliar, and been pushed right back out the door? When Aisha and Marcus showed up, Monica didn't even need to explain. That was the beauty of the team she had built. People who understood her, who knew how she thought, who didn't flinch when she said all of them without raising her voice. "I want clean cuts," she had told Marcus in the SUV. "No second chances. If they couldn't respect me when I looked like this," she motioned to her hoodie and leggings, "they don't deserve to be part of what we're building." "Got it," he said simply, flipping open his folder and cross-checking names. She had done the hard work years ago, building the company, proving herself, staying quiet when critics said she was too young to lead, too idealistic to last. She had pushed through every closed door, made the pitch meetings, took the hits, fought to be taken seriously. Now, she didn't have to prove anything to anyone. Her power didn't come from yelling or making scenes. It came from being prepared. She called Aisha first because Aisha had her back from day one. Aisha knew how to move in rooms where eyes rolled the moment two black women walked in. She didn't miss details. She never raised her voice, but she didn't need to. Then came Marcus, with every legal document ready. Ownership paperwork, staffing logs, chain of command details. They'd handled enough messy terminations before to know what came next. By the time Monica walked back through those glass doors, the whole situation had already shifted, even if the staff didn't know it yet. And when they looked at her, this time they didn't see some kid in sweats. They saw the one who signed their checks. She gave no warning, no speech, just action. Aisha wiped their building credentials remotely. Marcus started gathering names. HR had been looped in by text, and backup managers were already en route. Monica had executed moves in those 9 minutes that most leaders couldn't make in an hour. Because leadership isn't just what you do in the boardroom. It's what you do when you're treated like you don't belong. It wasn't about revenge. It was about setting a standard. But where that standard came from, and why Monica was so unapologetically firm, had everything to do with the road that led her here. The lobby was still. Monica stood in the center like she owned the room, because she did. But there was no arrogance in her face, no smugness, just a steady calm that felt heavier than yelling ever could. The remaining guests in the lobby, 2 couples and a man in a golf jacket, watched with quiet curiosity, sensing something serious was happening, but not quite sure what. One of them pulled out their phone and began recording. Brent, the general manager, tried again to spin things. "Miss Ellison, I want to say sincerely, if I had any idea," Monica cut in, not with anger, but with quiet precision. "You had an idea. You just had the wrong one." He looked confused. "You had an idea of what someone important should look like," she continued. "You had an idea of who's worth listening to, who's worth greeting, who's worth respecting, and I didn't fit that." Brent opened his mouth. Monica raised a hand. "This hotel is one of 15 properties under Ellison Retreats. I personally closed on this location 3 weeks ago. I've invested in staff training, upgrades to the rooms, and even bonuses for department heads, including yours." She paused, watching his face shift. "You drank the coffee this morning, right? The new kind in the back office? I chose it. I chose you." His mouth fell open. Monica turned to Shelby next, who was now visibly flushed. "And you," she said, "told me to go leave my resume at the back entrance." I didn't mean it like that," Shelby stammered. "How did you mean it?" Shelby's lips moved, but no words came out. "You made 3 assumptions before I finished 1 sentence," Monica said. "That I was poor, that I was uneducated, that I didn't belong in a place like this. I walked in to observe staff morale and guest interactions, but instead, I observed something else. How fast you treat someone like a threat, just because they don't fit your mental picture." Marcus stepped forward, tapping his pen on the folder. "Legally speaking," he said, calm as ever, "every employee on site today is being placed on immediate administrative leave. The terminations will be processed pending final HR review, but your credentials have been revoked, and your final pay will reflect only hours already worked. You'll be escorted out by interim management within the next few minutes." Brent swallowed. "This is extreme." "No," Monica said. "What would be extreme is me trusting you to represent this company again. We're not here to be another cookie-cutter chain with fake smiles and surface-level service. We're building something people feel, and that starts with how we treat each other." At that moment, the assistant manager on duty, a young woman named Kira Ramos, walked out from the side office with a look of uncertainty. She had been on break when everything unfolded. She saw the security footage on her screen and realized what she had missed. She walked up to Monica carefully. "Ms. Ellison," she said quietly, "I saw what happened. I'm sorry I wasn't out here sooner." Monica looked at her, then asked one simple question. "Would you have treated me the same way?" Kira paused. "No," she said. "I would have asked if you needed help. That's kind of the whole point of this job." Monica gave her the faintest smile. "What's your role here?" "Front desk supervisor, technically." "Not anymore," Monica said. "You're interim general manager, effective immediately." Kira's eyes widened. "Wait, me?" "You saw the mistake. You're the first person to say the right thing today. That tells me you care. We'll review things in more detail next week, but for now, You're in charge. Aisha nodded in agreement and handed Kira a temporary access badge. Let's get the rest of the guests taken care of, she said, and let's do it the right way. As Monica turned to leave, a small crowd had gathered near the lobby entrance. Whispers floated through the air. That's the owner? She's only 19? They kicked her out? But Monica didn't stop to respond. She walked out the way she came in, hoodie still on, head held high. But the truth behind that calm exterior, the reason why Monica never flinched, came from something far deeper than what happened in a hotel lobby. Monica never liked to talk about how it all started, not because she was ashamed, but because people always assumed there was a rich parent, some quiet investor, or a miracle moment behind her story. There wasn't. Her first hotel was a 4-bedroom house in Bakersfield, California. She was 16. Her mom had just gotten laid off from the city's water department, and they were 2 months behind on mortgage. Monica knew her mom was doing everything she could, selling homemade candles, picking up weekend cleaning gigs, but it wasn't enough. So Monica came up with an idea. She listed one of their guest rooms on a short-term rental app under a fake company name, Ellison Retreats. No website, no logo, just a blurry photo of the room and a promise of clean sheets, free Wi-Fi, and fresh fruit in the mornings. The listing got booked the next day. The first guest was a traveling nurse who left a 5-star review. Then came a grad student, then a family on a tight budget passing through. Monica reinvested every dollar into repainting walls, getting better bedding, and teaching herself marketing from free YouTube tutorials. By the time she was 17, she had rented out every room but her own and was sleeping on a futon in the garage with a clipboard and a second-hand MacBook. She designed the check-in process herself, printed out laminated welcome signs, and left handwritten notes on pillows. When guests asked, "Who's in charge?" she'd say, "I am," and try not to flinch when they looked confused. She didn't go to prom. She didn't take senior pictures. Instead, she studied tax codes, registered her business legally, and opened a checking account with $212 in it. That was all she had. The turning point came when a travel blogger stayed in the house and shared their experience on TikTok. This is the most heart I've ever seen in a rental. It got 500,000 views in 2 days. By 18, Monica had saved enough to rent her first real property, an old motor lodge near Visalia. It was beat up, broken, and completely ignored by everyone else. But she saw something in it. She saw potential. She painted the rooms herself, brought in local artists to decorate, hired people nobody else wanted to hire, single moms, teens with no work experience, ex-cons trying to start over. She trained them with one rule: treat people like people, not categories. The reviews poured in. Then the media came knocking. Monica refused most interviews. When she did speak, she kept it short. The story wasn't about her. It was about what was possible when someone gave you a shot. Now at 19, she owned 15 properties across 6 states, not with a trust fund, not with corporate backers, with grind, with guts, with grit. But the more success she earned, the more invisible she felt in places like the Stratford Manor, still judged for her hoodie, still assumed to be the help, still not taken seriously until someone saw a title or a dollar sign. That's why she didn't let things slide in Santa Rosa. Because for every Monica who stood her ground, there were 100 others who couldn't, who walked into hotels and stores and offices and walked right back out feeling small. Because someone decided they didn't look like they belonged, and she couldn't let that be normal. Not in her spaces, not under her name. But even Monica knew change didn't happen just from firing people. It had to ripple through the whole system, and that's exactly what came next. By Monday morning, Monica had already rewritten the playbook. A memo went out to all 15 properties at 6:42 a.m. Pacific time. Subject line: "We don't guess who people are." No dramatic lead-in, no sugarcoating, just 6 paragraphs that made it crystal clear. If someone walks into our space, you greet them. If you're unsure of their reason for being there, you ask politely. You don't assume. You don't judge. You don't decide they're unimportant because they don't match your idea of what important looks like. It wasn't just a memo. It was a wake-up call. By noon, she'd scheduled a virtual all-staff meeting. Over 300 employees logged on. Some were confused. Some were nervous. Some thought maybe this was about someone else, some other hotel, some other moment. It wasn't. Monica came on camera sitting in a simple chair against a plain white wall. No flashy background, no blazer, just a plain navy t-shirt and her natural curls pulled back. She looked tired but focused. "I won't be long," she started, "but I need everyone to hear this from me directly." She paused, let the silence breathe. "3 days ago, I walked into one of our hotels looking exactly like this," she said, gesturing to herself. "I was ignored, then dismissed, then removed." She watched as heads on the call shifted. Some people froze mid-blink. Some whispered to others off camera. She kept going. "I didn't walk in with cameras. I didn't say I was the boss, because I shouldn't have to. No one should have to wear money or power on their sleeves just to be treated with dignity." Her voice stayed even, but the edge in her words cut sharper than any yelling ever could. "Some of you know what that feels like," she said, "to walk into a place and be judged the second your shoes touch the floor, and some of you don't. But this company was built to be different." She leaned forward. "So here's what's changing. We're investing in real training, not the kind you skip through. Every employee, every role, bias training, guest communication, first contact response. And it's not optional." A chat notification blinked on her screen. Someone typed, "What if someone refuses?" Monica saw it. She read it aloud. She didn't flinch. "They can go," she said. "I don't care how long they've been here. If this doesn't matter to them, they don't belong here." No one typed after that. Aisha joined the call next to break down the logistics, new training modules, accountability reporting, escalation flowcharts. But even through the structured planning, everyone knew this was a line in the sand. One district manager, Terrell Maddox, spoke up at the end. "I've been here since location number 2, he said, "and I'll be honest, when I first met Monica, I thought she was an intern. I was wrong. She taught me everything I know about leadership, and I stand behind this reset. We need it." More cameras came on. More heads nodded. No one asked for a second chance for Shelby or Brent or the rest of the crew from Santa Rosa. Not because they wanted blood, because they understood the stakes. In Monica's world, there were no passes for disrespect, not even quiet disrespect. But even after setting the record straight, Monica knew the real work wasn't done. Not until the message reached the people outside the company too. 3 days after the incident, Monica posted a video on the Ellison Retreat social media accounts. No PR team, no slick edits. Just her, sitting in a parked car outside a diner in Modesto, holding her phone with one hand and looking directly into the lens. She started with 4 words. "I got kicked out." The comments exploded within minutes, but she didn't post it for shock value. She posted it because it was real, and because silence had never changed anything. "Some of y'all know me, some don't. I'm the founder of Ellison Retreats. I own the hotel where this happened. I walked in without makeup, in a hoodie, because I wanted to see how our guests were being treated when no one important was looking." She paused, then added, "Turns out, I wasn't important to them either." The next minute of the video was simple. She explained what happened, the assumptions, the dismissal, the ejection, then the return. She didn't name names, she didn't drag anyone. She just told the truth. And then came the part that stuck with people. If I had walked in with heels and a business suit, maybe they would have offered me coffee. But I didn't. And that's the point. You can't claim to care about people, then only show that care when someone looks like your idea of a CEO. Leadership doesn't always walk in wearing a Rolex. Sometimes it wears sneakers and carries a backpack. The video was shared over 4 million times in the first 2 days. Celebrities reposted it. Small business owners commented in support. Teenagers tagged their friends and said, "This is why I love her." Strangers DM'd Monica just to say thank you, but the best messages came from people who had been where she was. Security guards, retail workers, first-generation college students, hotel guests who had once been ignored, talked down to, or worse. They weren't just responding to her story, they were telling their own. And that's when Monica knew. This wasn't about a hotel anymore. It was about respect. It was about being seen. It was about creating a world where nobody had to carry a title just to be treated like a human being. So she ended her post with a promise. "I'm not doing this for clicks. I'm doing it because the next time someone like me walks into a room, I want them to be greeted with kindness, not suspicion. And if we can't do that in our spaces, then what are we even building?" Then came the last line. Don't wait until someone shows you their title to treat them with respect, because by then, it's already too late. If this story meant something to you, share it. Tell a friend. Speak up the next time you see someone getting written off because of how they look, how they dress, or where they come from. Because change doesn't start at the top. It starts when we stop assuming and start listening.